graduation rates, dropout rates, et cetera. But we also look at data in terms of bullying. And specifically, the state started really looking at bullying for LGBTQ students and how that affected them. Of course, we were collecting data way before COVID. So when COVID hit and the school shut down, we didn't have much data to go on for the past couple of years. So data that I'm going to be showing you and sharing is data from 2018, 2019. And we just started to collect data now for this school year. So I'm coming from the educator's lens. The other thing that I want to share with you, another reason why I'm nervous, is I'm really old school. I am 74 years old, if you want to believe that. No. So I probably might be the oldest person in this room. And back in the day, we didn't have LGBTQ in all these letters. You were either gay, you were lesbian, you might be queer, butch, dyke, but we didn't use these letters. And also for the trans community, we didn't have any language really for the trans community. So this has been a real transition and learning curve for me, even though I'm a gay person. And so just to let you know where my own personal stuff is coming from, I'm still learning about this. So I'm going to share some slides and some data and some resources. So I was a presenter in 2000, I think it was 19 or 18, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2016. Anyway, I was a presenter at the International Bullying Prevention Conference that was held in Nashville. And let me tell you, we had representation from nations across the world, including little islands like Barbados, where my parents are from, who were dealing with bullying in their schools, in their educational system. England, Finland, China, Australia. I mean, I met people from all over the world. It was 4 days, and it was intense, and it was amazing. And they had representation of a particular group called Gleason, GL, Lesbian, Gay, and Lesbian Straight Educational Network. They were there, and I went to their workshops. Despite the fact I was also presenting, because I was representing the state of Pennsylvania on our data and what we were doing, I had an opportunity to learn about this particular group. And they have a local chapter in Philly, right here. These slides are going to be here. Our tech person has this PowerPoint. So if you need information, you need copies of this, it's fine. So you can have this, later for your own reference. And down here in 2017, Gleason was collecting data on bullying for gay, lesbian, straight students from kindergarten all the way through high school. So that's what they were collecting data on. So I just wanted to show you that. And there's a report that comes out every year. And you can go on their website, and their website is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
They have chapters across the country.
Yes, yeah, across the country. Yeah, it's across the country. Yeah, it's nationwide. That's right. I'm glad somebody knows about that, because back then I didn't really realize that. Yeah, they're very powerful, very powerful. So this is what Gleason looks at. These are all the topics, all the data that they collect on all these different areas. Asian, Pacific Islanders students, Black students, non-conforming students, Indigenous, Latinx, non-binary, students of color, transgender students. This is all of the information that they collect across the country. And they have resources for students in schools. They have resources for teachers. They have resources for parents and families. And so this is a wonderful resource, and I just wanted to share this with everyone. And I was really so happy that I had the opportunity to attend the International Bullying Conference. And then, of course, each state has their own bullying conference. So Pennsylvania has that, and I've gone to the Pennsylvania one, but the international one was amazing. I had no idea that across the world, we have this in common. Across the world, this is going on still. And by the way, don't be afraid to interrupt, ask questions, just fine. Oh, so I have a video. I don't know, we'll see if it plays. I have a video of some students. Let me see what happens here. If we can get this up and running. Can you, oh, all right, so I have it running on, so how do I do this? Switch it over? Let me see here.
Just click the link.
Click the what?
Click the link on the page.
Click the link again? Well, I saw it on my computer come up. Right here. Oh, here it is. Okay, great. Let me just see. Yes. I want sound too. Yeah. Let me see if I can go back. Does this it's have showing. Sound? It's showing. Oh yeah. There you go. No sound.
Not fitting into the binary institution of gender. So I don't identify as a girl and I don't identify as a boy. Just somewhere in the middle. Non-binary do a lot of things. For me, I usually think in the sense of colors. If stereotypically male is blue and female is pink, I would be either a gray or a yellow. I think yellow because it's more of a gender neutral baby color for like when I was younger, but I think gray more because gender is kind of like a grayscale. So I'm just always gray somewhere, sometimes I'm a little more colorful, sometimes I'm a little more subdued. I have a lot of support, but then again, like most people lately, I've seen that adjusting to they, them terms are a little more difficult. I have a name that is presumed feminine, so a lot of times educators will automatically use she, her pronouns for me, which I don't identify with.
The allies to trans youth in little ways, such as putting a space for your pronouns, like on your syllabus in the first year of school.
An inclusive school will first off have the gender neutral bathrooms, probably a steady GSA, a lot of teachers that are well educated on LGBT, hopefully a few out teachers, which would be very great. I'm very fortunate to have a few out teachers, even an out principal. More comprehensive education, especially sex ed.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Oh, I'm finished. Okay, we're back. you see? We need to click this on. Here we go. Okay. Any questions about that? So that's just a quick video, and that's from the Gleason website. And so let me just say about safe spaces. So I started out as a teacher in a classroom in England in 1969 with severely emotionally disturbed kids, right? And then I stayed as a teacher. I worked as a teacher in New York, different places, Boston, New Jersey, for about almost 20 years. And then I worked my way up into administration, you know, assistant principal, district administrator, superintendent. And I didn't come out because back then, as a Black gay female, and I had a son, because I was with a man for 7 years, I would have lost my job. I was in the closet until the late 1980s. I was in the closet. So I couldn't give any students who were identified as gay, lesbian, trans, or I couldn't give them any support. I mean, I had a safe place in my classroom, but if I had the nerve or the bravery to come out, I think I would have been able to support some students. Now, I mean, later on when I did come out, I'm able to support those students now in the classroom. And there's a little sticker that you can get as an educators in safe spaces, I think. That's so important.
Juanita, I'm wondering really, like, because so much of the stuff that, I'm sorry. You know, you're at the state level. I'm wondering with book bans, with, you know, like I know recently just a teacher out in central Pennsylvania had a copy of a graphic novel. And, you know, the people go to the school board and people are saying that that's going to hurt their kids. And I feel like we're sliding backwards in that way, because now, you know, a teacher who tries to be an ally or come out is running into, you know, very similar situations. And are you getting those kinds of reports?
Well, I think recently the book banning is being pushed by parents, and that's scary, not really by educators. That is scary. But that on a local level, you really have to work through that on a local level, because the state doesn't deal with book bannings, and on the state level, we try to support the libraries in schools, local libraries. But yeah, if you live in a district and you know that there's some issues on the board or in the schools about banning books, you need to get involved. You need to get involved, because that usually is a local decision. And it is scary. I have not personally heard anything about it, but I know that it happens on the local level a lot. And I know that I was just talking to Rob, and he lives in one of my districts. He lived in IU 22 that I'm responsible for. So I don't know if you heard about anything down there, but I know that in some of those districts down there, they have a lot of parents who have a lot of power. And the parents are scared. The parents are scared. I'm a parent, and I'm saying my son is 45, my granddaughter is 12. I'm like, okay, so my granddaughter came out and she said she wanted to, you know, was interested in being a boy. She feels like she wants to be a boy. How would I feel? What would I do as a parent, as a grandparent? How would I support her? And I think the first thing I would do is I'll start reading, find some books and do some research and talk to other parents.
There you go.
Okay, so I don't know if I answered your question, Pat, but
I just think that, like, that's such an overt way that trans youth are being, you know, bullied. I mean, I think that's a big issue is, and I don't think people realize it's happening sometimes, like it's happening. So I don't know, I guess I'm just looking for ways that we can support each other.
And I didn't realize how far away that stuff looks, that screen. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is far away. So the summary of findings, 59.9% of LGBT students feel unsafe in their school because of their sexual orientation. This is far away. Is there any way we can't even move this up closer? If you all want to come a little closer, I can't move this. Can you want to bring the circle in? I'm just going to read it. Okay. Okay.
For anybody, can we mail this out, like this slideshow out to the?
Eventually, yeah. I have a handout, but it's not this. So let me just read this data. This is some of the stuff that we've collected, that Gleason's collected. So 34.8% of LGBTQ students missed at least one entire day of school in the past month because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable. 10.5% missed 4 or more days in the past month. This data is from 2019, the last time, because we didn't do anything in 20. Over 4 in 10 students avoided gender segregated spaces in school because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable, like bathrooms and locker rooms, and they avoid using the school function. They don't go to most school functions, extracurricular activities. They felt safe and uncomfortable. And I can't imagine that, you have sports, you have drama classes. I mean, you have all kinds of stuff going on in high school where you really connect with your peers, and that's so important for teenagers. They're missing out, right? Nearly a fifth, 18% of LGBT students reported having ever changed schools due to feeling unsafe or uncomfortable. Hostile climates. Can you believe a school is hostile? And it was the opposite. Supposed to be a safe place. And then when COVID hit and everything shut down, they realized how important school is. How important school is for kids and adults who go into those classrooms and teach those students. So I didn't realize how small this is. Oh my gosh, my eyes. And I just had cataract surgery, so I'm just like kind of twiddling in and out of here. And this is just more data. I'm not going to read all this stuff. But I'm going to, hopefully you'll get a copy and we'll just hand it out. Yeah, that's easier. There's some homophobic remarks, dyke, faggot. They hear the language in school, of course. You're not feminine enough. You're not male enough. And then so then I also want to get to the labels that we have in terms of what to use, the he and the she. Let me just tell you, I have a personal friend of mine who she was about 40 years old, and we rode motorcycles together. And her name was, I forgot her female name. Anyway, she was born female. She decided to transition when she was like 43. She had her 40th birthday. She had her breast removed. She changed her name to Lou, because I don't remember that part. And we were still riding motorcycles, but I've known her for 25 years as her. So I would mistakenly always say her or she, and Lou would get upset with me. And I was like, please be patient. I'm trying to fix this in my head that, you changed gender, and I understand that, but it's been 20, 25 years I've known you as this other person, and so I need time to adjust. And the other thing that happened is that Lou started dating straight women and not telling them anything about her transitioning. And I thought that was like not being honest. And our friendship grew apart, and we are no longer friends. And that was very hard for me because I liked riding my motorcycle with someone. I belong to a club, but I'm not a big club person, but I belong to a club, all female club. But that was really hard for me. And now this person goes to church with me at Riverside Church, and we see each other, we speak, hello. Then now change their name to Julian, which I got that right. And I got the pronouns right. I can do the pronouns right. But it's been it's been broken. I'm not sure how to get that back yet. But it's broken, our relationship. It's hard.
I need the microphone. I got a big one. Okay. I just want to make two quick comments. One, I think that number, even though that's from 2019, is significantly higher than that, because there's a parent of 2 gay children and an aunt to 2 trans children. I know that a lot of kids at school don't even come out. They're fearful of coming out, so they just drop out of school or stop going, and nobody even knows concretely if they're gay or transgender or not, because they just disappear from the scene because they may already be getting bullied. And I know that a lot of the administrators don't take it seriously, and they're like, oh, it's just a name, but it's not just a name. It's just the same as if I would go to an all-white racist school and they would call me the N-word. It's not just a name. You know, it's very hurtful. And so many of these children end up taking their lives because of this, and people need to start taking it seriously. Yeah. And the other comment I want to make was about your friend. We all have to learn to be patient with each other. It is very hard when you've known somebody that long one way and they become another way. And I think that he should have been a little bit more patient with you.
Thank you for that support. But you're right. I have some other data up there about the fact that trans and gay kids have a higher suicide rate. And now that when COVID hit, that even got worse. Yeah. It even got worse. And in the Pennsylvania, and I only can say with Pennsylvania because that's where I collect the data, that's what the governor's looking at. But in Pennsylvania, the social emotional issues are so high for students. We don't have enough psychologists. We don't have enough social workers. I had a parent on the phone the other day calling me. Her kid is not only gay, but he's also disabled. And I also had something about a disabled kid on my video, but also disabled. And his emotional issue was just through the roof. And she's crying because guess what? The wait list for a psychologist is 3 months. And she can't wait 3 months. She's afraid he's gonna hurt himself. And this kid's 15. So yes, yes. Sue, right? Mary. No, Mary. Oh, Sue. Mary.
I think I have a couple issues I wanted to bring up. About three years ago, before we moved to York, we were living up in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And my wife was a pastor at a local church. And I had several young people come up to me and ask me if I thought that the church at the time would allow them to start to meet, because they felt safe talking to me, but they couldn't be in their school because they went to their teachers, and their teachers were bullying them. Yeah. And so the kids came to me, and we opened up the church for them. And we had like 20 kids eventually coming to us from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, which is a very conservative, very rural mountain area. And it was an awesome experience for me. But what I found happening that angered me and still angers me to this day is that the adults who were coming up to us and saying, we're afraid that if we allow them to come, we will be bullied. And my thought on this is, I think too often we, including those of us who are elders in the community and have gone through a lot ourselves, we become afraid to put ourselves on the front line. But I think if we don't do that, we lose youth, we lose our young people, we lose people's lives. So I think there's that. The other thing I wanted to say to you, and it was just kind of a different thought than what you had about that, is I think my past is nobody's business. And I think when I date, I'm a woman dating a man, and my past is not your business. I think maybe later in the relationship, maybe there comes a time when that needs to be. But I think there's that. The other thing I have to say is, as a trans woman, people have known me in the past, because I was active in the church before I transitioned. Yes, you have to give people time and patience. But if you can remember the name and change the name of a rock group because they just changed their name, you can remember my name. Yeah. And if you don't, you can be the one that catches it. I don't have to be the one always catching it for you. That's just kind of.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I would catch myself a lot of times, but it was like, did I made a mistake again? Oh, who else?
She said exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
I'll say it loud. I just want to bring up one quick point about bullying. Just one quick point about bullying, that being a person that got bullied in school themselves, I have to realize that bullying doesn't start in the school. No child is born racist. No child is born transphobic. It's taught to them by the people around them. And they need to step up and take responsibility for creating other individuals that are going to grow up and continue that cycle.
And I think that slide is saying that it even happens in a higher level with Latinx and Black students, and students of color. It's even higher than that. So yes, Pat.
I just want to hit on the area about the adults, because I think the adults get really, like the adults who want to support kids. And I think us finding ways to support the adults like that, kind of going back to the book banning, I think kids have been very effective in several places in Pennsylvania, standing up to the adults. But I know, as a person who was a school administrator, when I came out, I was no longer able to be a school administrator. And everybody runs from you. Nobody wants to be around you. Like, they're afraid too. I mean, they're petrified. Like, there was nobody in my court when I sat at school board meetings. Like, nobody. It's hard. And I think that, that was almost 12 years ago that happened to me, and I was pretty much told by my attorney, like, don't try to be a school administrator, unless you're going to an inner city, But I mean, he knows, like, I mean, this is what you're talking about, Bloomsburg, okay? It's right here in Baker, where we're sitting, and
that's how Pat and I met.
Yeah. So I just think it's, we have, like, in order to support our youth, we have to support the adults who are afraid too, because even the allies are afraid. The allies are being attacked right now. And that's really, to me, even more scary, because when the allies are afraid for their own jobs, for their own kids, for the death threats, I mean, and it's worse, and it's been emboldened since 45 was elected. It's been very emboldened, and it's hard to talk about. And so I don't know. I came here because I do want to find a way that we can all have safe and affirming spaces and kind of come up with solutions to support each other.
Yes.
I just want to say, to affirm you, my wife and I moved from Pittsburgh proper to Maryland because Pennsylvania has no protection for LGBTQ teachers. So Sarah, my wife, would have been fired if she had lived as an out, because it's up to the administrators. There's like a morality clause that you can fire someone. So not only our allies on the line, but queer people as well. And so it makes me wonder how much people are not willing to speak up because they fear for their own safety as well.
I agree.
But the unions are supposed to be protecting parent teachers. It's supposed to be. I said supposed to be. So I'm giving you a handout. There's 2 pages. One is on an expression from a young girl who's also gay, lesbian, and she happens to be disabled. Yeah, well, it's 2 pages. I don't know I didn't make enough. Okay, you might need to share. But the narrative on the 2nd page is about, you could take it home and read it later, but it's a narrative about a young woman who was in high school, and she's trans and she's disabled. And I think that that's something I wanted to bring up because I also represent the state students of disabilities. That's what I do. I work with students of disabilities and collect the data for that. Yes.
Yeah. Just make sure people can hear. One stat that people should also be aware of is that students with disabilities, and not just physical disabilities, but disabilities we don't see, mental health disabilities, learning disabilities, identify as LGBTQ at higher rates than their peers. So when you're talking about disability communities, a lot of people only see one person's identity. So they either see them as disabled or as queer. And so remembering the importance of intersectionality, that when we see disabled people, we are also seeing people with gender identities and with sexual orientations is really important.
Here's another video that I have. Yeah. Thank you. Oh no, this is not it. 3 acts for Gabriel, no. Oh yes, it is. No, this is not it. All right, no, that's all right. All right, so I'm not gonna play this. This is not the one that I wanted to play, but anyway, it was about allies. And we really discussed that in terms of having allies, not just in school, but look around right here, this room. Just look around. We are going to be each other's allies. And the last thing I want to just say, in the New York Times this past week, which I get every Sunday, there's a new book that's called Born This Way, A Global History of Gender Nonconformity. And let me just say, the person who reviewed this book, and you could pass it around, the person who reviewed this book, it says, Before We Were Trans, A New History of Gender, written by Kate Heyman. And it talks about, she tries to cover too much, but it's a historic novel covering the world in terms of non-conforming people across the world. Now, it doesn't do justice to people who are of color or Latin, but it does give us a little bit of history that this is not something new. This is not new. Okay, this is not new. And so I'm gonna pass the article around, but this is it. You can just pass it around. And I'm done. I don't know about the audience. Everybody out there in the video world. Here, Michael.
So, Jesse, are there any comments or questions from our online community? Because we want to make sure we bring those forward.
So we don't have any questions.
Okay.
We do have one comment from Kathleen that says, listening tonight, makes me relieved that I am retired and do not have to protect my job, and I can speak out without fear of losing my job.
Wow.
And then Susan Barnes says, I never thought about allies actually being afraid for their jobs. Thank you for sharing that.
Wonderful. And I know Susan Barnes, and she is an ally, a Presbyterian minister that's been right there for decades for the LGBTQ community.
And you all rock. Let me tell you, thank you so much. You rock, because I was a little nervous going up here, but you rock made me feel comfortable. Thank you, thank you.
Let's go one more round for our Juanita.
Woo!
Juanita, you are a gift. So we want to thank our online community for being with us, and we'll have them back with us tomorrow for the 3 sessions with Aaron and Sue and Timon. And for those of us who were here on the mountain, we have in the dining hall where we had dinner, we have a celebration, real casual, wine, cheese, crackers, some IPA beer, sodas, all kinds of things. I found my way to some kind, I live in New Mexico. Where is a grocery store here? But I found one. It's called W-E-I-S. Wise, yeah. So I made my way, but they said I could only buy 4 bottles of wine. Yeah, they said it was a state law. Pat, is this true?
That's because it's a grocery store, but in the liquor store you buy it.
Okay, well, anyway, we've got enough for tonight. Oh, no, Juanita, we want everybody. But one of the things we're going to celebrate is being here on the mountain, our first night. We also know that some of you had like 3 hours sleep. So if you want to come to the party and just visit and have a drink, some wine and cheese or whatever, or if you just want to go off to bed and have quiet, that's fine too.
Where's that going on at?
The dining hall where we had dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, where we had dinner. And any questions about the rest of the evening? Okay, Juanita has another announcement.
I have a book over there, and I'm a poet and writer. I'm a poet and writer, so my book is over there. If you're interested in buying it, it's only $10, but the money's not going to me; it's going back to Kirkwood. And the flyers for the retreat that I'm doing on the piano. But like I said, go on the website. I might join you for a little bit of wine so I can get down the hill.